Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Welcome to my LinkedIn Live about what business owners really need to know about cyber threats. And I am with the amazing Rory today. Thank you so much for being here with me, Rory. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Yeah, hi there. Thank you, Alex, and hello everyone. Yeah, really pleased to be here. I'm Rory. I'm CTO at Cyber Shadows, and hopefully I'm here to give you some good tips and have a good discussion. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I am too. I mean, I think the topic that we're going to be talking about today is so useful. I mean, I'm a business owner. I do not know about cyber threats, so I'm going to be like taking my notes as well on all of this because it's super interesting. And I just think it's stuff that we really need to understand a little bit more. But before we dive into all of that, so yeah, your CTO. Firstly, what does that stand for? It's Chief
Chief
Technology
Technical
Officer.
Officer. Yeah, that's it.
Just checking because and you're a specialist in cybersecurity for Cyber Shadows. So tell us a little bit more about you and the company and what you do.
All right, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we'll start with myself. I've been in the technology arena, IT generally for my entire career. I'm getting on in years, so I started when things
Yeah.
were just really basic. Looking back, right when you just had to worry about your networks and get people connecting to servers, right? Can I do my work? Can I connect to the internet? Yes, you can. All right, you're good. Um, and I've kind of I started off on a very technical base and meandered through things into more sales facing roles, which taught me a heck of a lot of things I didn't know. Um,
Maybe didn't want to
but
know.
it's been well, yeah. Looking back, it was invaluable, but I wouldn't go back there. But it was fantastic. So I've been around for a long time, and it's been quite, I suppose, in retrospect, a nice sort of step in to validate where I've ended up being CTO at a company that is at this point in time both an MSSP, so security services specialist organization,
Yeah.
looking after a lot of companies'
Mm.
cybersecurity needs, and then being a product company emerging out of the MSSP at the same time, which has been a whole different journey in its own right, but really exciting. Yeah, so hopefully I know enough to answer some good questions, and give some good steering, because it really just is a case, right? I was having a conversation literally this week about the fact that every company almost has to, I mean, every business owner almost has to kind of put on a cybersecurity hat, right?
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
is that's really difficult for a lot of people. They're not cybersecurity specialists. They've never really had to care about that. It was just the stuff that made them able to run their business.
Yeah.
But yeah, the proof in the world today is just that if you're not doing enough, you're probably going to get had at some point. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're here to kind of help people steer through that, and kind of mitigate as much as possible.
I love that. Thank you so much. I mean, you're so right. I mean, I as a business owner myself, I wear so many hats, and you're sort of constantly like putting the other next one on, and you kind of end up with 27 on your head, and none of them are actually, what you really need to be doing today. And it is so nice to have someone who can just give you a couple of tips and tricks and hints and things just to raise awareness on, look, just take a look at that, don't spend all your time, we know you're not specialists in all of this, but us business owners have to be slight jack of all trades, and
Oh, of course,
it's
yes.
just nice to have someone who you can call on to just go, can I just check. So before we dive into that, I know we've got some people who are on the call, on the live with us today. So if you are here listening live, thank you so much for joining us. Please add a comment in the comment section. Tell us who you are, where you are, and say hi. And if you've got any questions for Rory, please do add them in and we will ask them as soon as we can, assuming they are relevant to the topic.
Oh, we'll field any of them. Let's just go for it.
Best beard, like oil. I'm perfectly happy to ask that question because, damn, it's a good beard, sir. Just to introduce myself. Hi, everyone. Just in case you don't know who I am, my name is Alex Thornton. I run Amethyst Consulting, and that is a leadership development and exec coaching company. So I work with leaders at every level of an organization, from the board, senior leadership team, and management level. It's really about helping people to move from that constant firefighting feeling into more strategic execution every single day. So it's a pleasure to be here with Rory. Right, I'm going to dive in with my first question, I'm afraid, because my question is, I reckon most business owners think about cyber attacks as something that either they have to deal with, or more importantly, maybe IT deals with after the attack. Is that right? Or is that when, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partially true, right? It is partially
Yeah.
true, but I think I have to be maybe a little bit contrary at that point, and maybe this will set the stage for everything else to come. Um,
Yeah.
I'll explain something before we get to answering the question. I told you that I'd do this, right? So
Yes.
keep me on track anyway. Um, Cybersecurity has had this wondrous kind of way of existing, that when cybersecurity was first kind of introduced as a concept, right? I mean, it's existed in many formats over the years, um, but the industry itself became really, really good at making things seem and feel really complex, really complicated, that no mere human being was able to understand what cybersecurity was, let alone how to
Yeah.
implement that and
Yeah.
reap the benefits. Now, like it's been great because it's opened up some really good opportunities over the years for people to come in and yes, solve big problems, right? But it was always hidden behind this wall of you had to have super specialist people to actually achieve the end goals. What
Mm,
cybersecurity really is, though, at the ground floor, is it's just a collection of applied basic cyber hygiene, right? Good habits that
okay.
are done on an individual level that collectively kind of come together and provide a good set of foundational resilience um, points across the entire organization. In the same way that you don't have to be a dental hygienist to brush your teeth, right? You just brush your teeth. It's one of those things that amounts to a step towards good dental hygiene.
Keeping your teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, when cyber incidents do happen, though, and I think that this is, it kind of spans across really small micro organizations to really big organizations. It sometimes is exactly the case. A big thing will happen. The leadership teams are asking, are we going to be okay as a business? What is going to happen here, right? Are we going to lose revenue? Are we going to lose trust? What are the implications of what's just happened? But
Hmm.
it typically does get kicked down the chain to the people that are responsible for IT.
Yeah.
And IT tasks in itself, the people who are setting up your laptops and desktop machines, and they're making sure that the updates are applied in your organization, they're responsible for a lot of that. It's kind of like the people that will work on the roads, right? They are putting down all of the fresh tar, they're painting new lines so that people know where they're going and they know how to use it. They can kind of get around, right? It's what establishes kind of the base framework for the business to operate on.
Yeah.
Um, Security, though, is kind of like signposts on the road, right? In a way, so
Yeah.
it's being kind of more prescriptive, and it does get a little bit more specialist in the sense that cybersecurity is not the same thing as IT. It sits on top of IT, and it's that layer that really defines um, what needs to be done in terms of mitigation, what needs to be done when an event actually happens. And it's also not done in isolation, right? So it's a group effort. Cybersecurity is 100% a group effort. It starts at the individual, but it is applied across everybody, and it's only when everybody's doing that together that it becomes meaningful. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that really answered the question, to be fair, but
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's really interesting a way of you articulating it. So it's that hygiene piece, isn't it? It's that daily kind of resilience and awareness. It's like you wouldn't question brushing your teeth. You wouldn't question nowadays, maybe, okay, I had a particularly, okay, a terrible example probably, but a phishing email came through to me this morning that just, you just have this feeling when you're like, yeah, it looks quite legit, but And so, I just binned it. I don't care. Like, if a client wants to speak to me, they'll speak to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I've lost a client because of
Exactly.
that, then I'd rather keep my, my cybersecurity, to be honest. Where was I going with this? I have no idea either.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know,
remember.
but go
But it's
on.
not. It's something that we need to be thinking about. What I'm hearing from you is that it's not just a post-attack issue. It's that preventative method. It's like going to the gym. It's like looking after your health. It's like eating well. It's like brushing your teeth. It's that just stuff that if you do 1 minute a day, makes a massive difference for later on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does, and I mean, okay, so do it 1 minute a day for every minute in that day. That's a good start,
Oh.
right? Like cybersecurity is an ongoing thing, but to kind of speak to that topic, so I was involved in a pretty interesting project just recently with um a neuroscientist, right? Really cool lady. You
Cool.
should check her out, Dr. Julia Jones. She's fantastic.
Okay.
In any case, through that journey, what I did find out from a neuroscientist sort of viewpoint was how the human brain sort of forms habits in the first place, right? And I think that understanding how the brain really works, right? So the kind of short condensed version output of all of this research really is that if you have short touch communication on a very frequent basis over an extended period of time, is how the brain forms these connections, right? That solidify themselves in a habit. This is why, again, I suppose New Year's resolutions, right? It's fantastic. People have a snap decision, say, I'm going to make this change, but then not really do the kind of small work over a period of time to sort of crystallize that.
Yeah.
And cyber hygiene in that sense is exactly the same thing, really. It's there's always a lot to be mindful of, but it always distills right down to your sort of whole thing of a phishing email coming in, right? And it's maybe of a subject that you just know has got nothing to do with your day to day. Oh, here's a great discount I'm getting from Timu. Like I don't shop there, but they're sending me
Mm.
stuff. Yeah, okay. Of course I'm going to click that link because I want 78% discount off a thing I don't care about. Um, Now, a sane human being would probably look at that and say, well, all right, if I'm looking at this from a security standpoint first, right, if I'm just trying to reinforce that habit, I just ask the basic question of why am I getting this? Did I ask for this and am I expecting it, right? Does it look like something legitimate that I would be expecting?
Yeah.
And taking that approach, you'd very quickly say, all right, yeah, I should filter this out. Maybe my curiosity wants to click on it, but just don't do it, right?
Mm.
Um, and it's those small micro steps that obviously start forming to become habits. It's when people ask the questions about just the basic ground truth. It's not a complicated thing. It's just being honest with yourself, I think, and trying to bash back the curiosity a little bit. And that in itself, I mean, just looking at the stats, phishing has always been one of the highest sort of entry points to impacts that happen in organizations, because it's always the human factor, right?
Yeah.
If you take the human out of the situation, like cybersecurity is solved in the same way that you turn off all the power, cybersecurity is solved. Um, it's just one of those fundamental truths that people always have curiosity. Um, but sometimes then I guess it's also about having a culture in your organization where security is understood to be a collective effort. It's not a point in time thing of this is a phishing email and it looks like this every single time, and people are trying to train themselves on, is Microsoft spelt correctly in this email?
Mm.
Life happens and it happens fast. It always comes back to, why is Microsoft sending me an email? Do they care enough about me, and should I be seeing this, right? You could probably stop at that point and just stop things going further at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. This the neuroscience behind clicking a phishing email. That's a book, isn't it? Somewhere out there, I guess.
I think I'm going to get a message shortly if she's been seeing any of this. That's not really how it works. Anyway.
Well, I think to be fair, as a sort of leadership behaviour specialist, I'm like, yeah, kind of somewhat. I mean, yeah. So we could dive into the neuroscience behind that, and I love what you said
Cool.
about people would be, if we take people out of this, then it's like the same with leadership. Really, if you take people out of the issue, then there's no leadership issues at all. So,
No, none whatsoever. Life's easy.
hey, we wouldn't be here either if those
Yeah, so listen,
life wouldn't
the
be as
fact the
fun.
world exists the way it does is a good thing. It's a good thing. We just have to kind
Absolutely,
of, learn how to deal with ourselves well enough to deal
yeah,
with others well enough, and we all have a good time.
yeah. All being well. Okay, so then look, business owners are super busy, push your time, and so is everyone in the organization, and things come flying at us, don't they? And we're just like, yeah, just get on with the next thing. If there was one thing this year in terms of like cyber resilience that you would recommend for a business owner to do, what would that be?
Put as much time and effort into your governance as you possibly can. Um,
Okay.
it sets the foundation for your organization. Having a good grasp and understanding of your governance risk and compliance within your organization, aligning yourself to frameworks if you're not already aligned, typically for smaller organizations, looking at things like Cyber Essentials Plus, um, and stepping up the stage to ISO 27001 or whichever of the ISOs might apply to your organization. Um, Governance is the biggest thing, and that's what I've been immersed in over the last couple of months, like more than I would hope to have been. But it really is quite enlightening because it comes back to the theme of this whole talk really up to now is setting the policies that align to your business that support their objectives, right?
Yeah.
That's very much what leaders want to see. They want to be on that top level, setting the strategies, but you have to define the policies and align yourself and ground yourself in a suitable governance framework.
Yeah.
For it to be meaningful, right? Because then it comes down to the people understanding the policies, and you build that culture of we're all in this together. What I do as an individual can impact the organization. Therefore, it shouldn't just be sort of it's another training thing. Oh, it's so boring. I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
More so just a reframing of that to say, well, I'm part of this organization and I can do my small bit that accumulates in something big. So yeah, for leaders today is just like check, recheck, make sure you are properly aligned to a good foundation in your organization through a solid um, global standard framework
Yeah.
that applies to your org.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's do the due diligence that yes, we as business leaders, we might not love and we might find it boring, or it might not be something that we particularly enjoy or kind of connect with or whatever. But ultimately, it's so important to protect the future and de-risk as much as we possibly can. And it's
Yeah,
that linking back to helping your people understand their role in it as well, and their part of it. I mean, going back to habits and neuroscience, because I'm sorry I shouldn't, but I'm going to because I love that
yeah,
side
do
of
it.
things. When somebody understands how it's going to impact them if they do the thing that they don't want to do, like, okay, we've all worked in the corporate world and we've all had to do the millions and millions of training courses that we know we should,
They're the best.
but aren't they?
No,
Maybe they're a bit dry and maybe they're a little dull. I'm sure yours aren't. I'm
maybe.
sure yours
Oh
aren't.
no, ours are the best. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Um, but we kind of know we should, but we were a bit like, yeah, don't click on a phishing email. I get it, that duh. But actually, it's about kind of reminding ourselves of the impact to ourselves and why we would want to just actually pay attention to that kind of governance side of things ourselves. It is for everyone in the organization, and it's not just senior leadership team are making me do it. It's like,
No,
actually, this is really, really useful. It's like, how are we still there going, yes, you have to do health and safety
yeah,
courses, yes, you have to do these courses, it's useful, it's
yeah,
beneficial for you.
exactly. There are the requirements, but it certainly is. I think a lot of people look at company and define company culture on a lot of things that are just kind of like workplace perks more than anything else, right? Like the
Yeah,
culture is all about the sense that look, we spend a lot of our time as human beings at the office thinking about work, doing a job. Sure, there are probably more times in everybody's life that they spend, that work is boring. It can be, and it can be mundane.
Yeah.
Um, but all of that really supports those good times when things are absolutely fantastic and great, and it's all set down by this kind of foundation of, like, if we're spending so much of our lives dedicated to working in an organization doing work that's sometimes boring, we should at least do it to the level that we kind of respect what we're doing. We respect the time and effort that we're putting in, because it ultimately serves yourself, right? Because, people, you'll always self-serve before you serve someone else.
No,
But
it's
by serving yourself, you serve everybody else, right? And doing the right thing in a security context of just being mindful is probably the one thing that goes further than anything else in the industry right now, right? Like,
yeah,
cybersecurity is simple. It honestly is. It's made complicated and complex sounding by sort of just the legacy of where it came from,
yeah.
but it's not a big scary topic. It's a really simple one that just happens to have some pretty drastic kind of outcomes if it goes wrong. And
Yeah.
that's what you need to sort of steer around.
Yeah, and all the more reason to just do the small amount of our part in the bigger picture. And I guess, to
Yeah.
me, in terms of sort of leadership side of things, it's again, it's about that why. Why are we doing it? What is it? What's kind of in it for you? Every human being likes to know what that. Why am I being made to do this perceived boring thing? What's in it for me? But it's reminding them of the bigger picture stuff of, look, everybody's seen in the news the big cyber attacks on huge corporate businesses.
Yeah.
We might have to make redundancies should we have a cyber attack, for instance. So let's just be diligent on this now, so that we can protect the business, ourselves, your income, your family's
Yeah.
support, and just do that one, be aware, that raising that resilient, that awareness piece. And
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely
Totally.
amazing. So, as I understand, you, Cyber Shadows, and the Cult business work with companies that often don't have what I would call kind of in-house security teams, big IT teams. What's do you think is maybe the biggest misconception that smaller businesses have around maybe their own risk or cyber risks in general?
Yeah. So we'll start with the findings, I would say, and then I'll talk a bit about how I can justify that.
Okay.
A lot of organizations we do deal with are companies that are on the smaller side and looking to scale up, going through investment rounds, things like that. Um,
Yeah.
so, typically I'm seeing a lot of organizations on a day-to-day that are in a really critical state, right? They're in an exciting space because they're seeing the growth, they're starting to realize that. But as soon as you start moving at pace, and I think a lot of businesses, whether you're going through investment or not, everybody's looking for that scale up moment and how to accelerate things,
Yeah.
is that the basics get left behind, right? Or the fact that people will be missold on the idea that if I've bought tooling into my organization, so I've got an EDR in place, I've got a firewall in my office, um, let alone how that's being configured and managed, right? Just the fact that you have those things in place, for a lot of people, that almost ticks the box of, I've done cybersecurity, it's finished, so I can carry on and do work. And that's a really dangerous thing, right? Because having that false sense of security on the fact that you've got technology, and yeah, you're paying for it, and yes, it does have a reason to be there, but if you don't have somebody who is tasked with actually monitoring that and making sense of it, right, is where you can just sort of, yeah, be caught unawares, right? You think everything's sorted, you've got this false sense of security, and something goes wrong, and then you're asking big questions, right? How did we get here? We're paying for all of this great stuff that we've been sold, and it didn't work. Um,
Mm.
cybersecurity, like when we spoke about that, just do 1 minute a day. Like, no, yeah, do that, but every minute of the day. Is that cybersecurity is just it's a heartbeat, right? It's something that needs to be tended to all of the time. So yeah, the companies that we've been looking at, we're really fortunate that we work alongside a private equity house, and we run all of their due diligence exercises, right? So this is great because they use us as part of their due diligence process, to vet and support companies that are going through investment, right? There's no greater time in a company's lifespan where they become more sort of exposed at the point that they're going through investment rounds, right?
Yep.
Attackers in the world are super, super smart people. And they run
Yep.
businesses too, you know, so they'll have people that are on the lookout for companies going through these investment rounds or these big changes, because they know that they become prime targets. They're not so much taking the off the ball, but all of a sudden the leadership in that organization has got, you know, just 100 more hats that they have to wear. They're going through all sorts of, you know, admin exercise and all the rest to accelerate and realize that growth. And that's a prime space where companies would get targeted and something can go drastically wrong. Um, so what we're typically doing is inserting ourselves into that stream, right? That's just one good way of kind of seeing the value of what we do. Is we do the due diligence exercise, and really is a case of not saying, oh, look at all the things that you're not doing right, but it is highlighting areas that should be looked at closer.
Yeah.
And very quickly you find out that, again, you know, they might have one person in the company. Sometimes it's even the owners of that company that have just been looking after the IT,
Yeah.
and it's really not their area of expertise, right? So that's where you need to start looking at specialists in the area, people who do this for a living, and take on that support, right? It's not something that should cost a fortune for an
Mm.
organization, but
Yeah.
what you are paying for is also not really like an insurance. It's more like, you know, it is a constant ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity isn't the same thing. It's not a thing you call profile and you understand cybersecurity. What cybersecurity is today and what happens tomorrow can shift the entire industry, right? And you have to understand that and move with those changes as you go.
Mhm.
So again, I don't know if I answered your question really, but that's the
I
story.
think you did. I think you did, because I was asking about the kind of the biggest misconception, really, and it's that what I was taking from that really is that it has to cost the world, like it doesn't necessarily, but it's actually more around um, just having the conversation. I would have the conversation with you now, right?
Yeah,
Especially if you know you're about to go into investment, or you've got to that great, brilliant, exciting time in a organization when you've seen growth and now you're scaling even more. This is like the prime time when sort of these cyber attacks might happen,
yeah,
when people are just, they want that loss of eye off the ball for a second. So if they come to you and just have a conversation, are you more than happy to have just a chat with them about, I'm just
yeah.
thinking about people in the
I
network, if they want to have a chat with
welcome that.
you.
Absolutely welcome that. Even if it starts and ends as just a chat, yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, just to raise awareness of just how much. So what do you guys actually do? So say I was a business owner of a company that was about to go in to be an investment, or I was, looking for one day maybe.
Yeah.
um, so do you run systems in the background? How does it all work? If you
So
don't mind.
yeah, not all businesses will need the same things, and it is kind of a bespoke approach for everybody. Right now, I think for our organization that's worked really well. We don't see ourselves as we're not a massive organization, but what we are is kind of boutique in that sense, right? Each of our
Mhm.
customers and the conversations that we do have are always framed around not a set of rules that we have of engagement. It's about first understanding the business, right? What matters to you? Where are you at right now? What are the facts that exist, um, before we can move any further than that? So depending on how the conversation starts with us, one of the great routes that we have right now is it's silly for anybody from our organization to speak to you and immediately come and say, all right, well, we know what you need. You need to change X, Y, and Z, and throw out what you have and bring in what we have because we know better. Um, we typically start with an exercise that explicitly tests the layers of your security, right? And the idea is, from our perspective, we get to get a kind of like hands-on feel of if we drop something bad through your environment with you, um, in a very controlled, very limited manner, but we get to drop it through and we see, right, well, what happens at the email layer, right? Does your email security do anything with something that we're putting towards your organization? Do we get anything popping up on the network at your firewalls? If it hits your actual laptop or desktop, right, sits on there, you get the email, you get the file. Does your antivirus, your EDR solution take action? Does it do anything? Does it know about it or not? And that immediately gives us a good indication on our side of what is in place, what's configured maybe correctly, and what's maybe configured not the right way. For the business side of things, it gives them kind of direct feedback, active feedback on the fact that they are spending money on solutions that should be providing them that security layer, right? And
Yeah.
time and time again, it's actually really interesting. We've been running what we call a shadow red, and you can look that up and we will have a chat. A shadow red is a canned exercise that we run doing exactly that, right? It's almost, people think of it as a penetration test, except we're not doing crazy stuff. We're just quite literally point testing every layer of your security to come out with the results of, this is what we see if we were an attacker trying to deliver something bad to your organization. This is what makes noise. This is what doesn't. And every single one of those that we have run, quite literally, I touch wood right now, because we have not had a case where we weren't successful in deploying malware onto an endpoint organization where they have explicitly said, look, we're paying for this. We've got this set up, this set up, this set up in all these different layers. And when it comes down to somebody actually testing them, well, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So that's a great door opener, because it allows us to understand the nature of play in the business. It allows the business owner to kind of get the understanding that we're not just here to sell you more layers and take money from you to give something that's not adding value. It allows us to step in and say, all right, well, now we know exactly what we need to fix for you. We need to start with this, change the configuration here. Maybe we need to shift our technology if it's just not fit for purpose. But the idea is to kind of land in with what you have and just tune it correctly, and then be that layer of expertise that can support your business and kind of go along with the heartbeat of your organization, looking after security, making sure that you get to do what you do, and not worry so much about the security.
That sounds, yeah, amazing. I'll definitely Google shadow red. I don't know if I want you to test my business, but maybe I do.
Hey, you should. Someone else will, and if they do, that's where it goes bad, Alex.
Well, I was speaking to someone the other day in a similar space to you, but not the same. She's saying that she tested whether my email could be stolen, and she was like, yep, it can. So, so that could then be taken. Eek, yeah, I know, because I have every hat on. So I'm, I'm a web designer as well, and all these things.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm sorting that at the moment. Don't worry, it's all fine.
Good.
Unfortunately, we've gone over time, as I knew we would, because it's just fascinating to talk to you, and thank you so much, Rory, for your time.
Yeah, it's gone by so fast. Thank you.
I feel like we could talk for so much longer.
Yeah.
How, if anybody's on this live or is watching it another time, how do we get in touch with you to ask, oh goodness, do we need any help in my organization, from Rory and Cyber Shadows?
Right. So I'd say, thank you. Please find us on cybershadows.com. You can have a look at our website. We've been told it's kind of cool. It's a little bit quirky. It's something different. So even if you just stop by to have a look at that, but all of our contact details are on there, contact forms, and you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn if you want to. I'm there. I will respond. I hope to hear from anybody via this. Is fantastic. I'm always happy to have a chat and see how we can help out.
Honestly, I really, really, really would recommend Cyber Shadows. In a previous life, in a previous world, an old company of mine absolutely used this company, and they saved our beacon. I won't go into too much detail, but genuine, true story, that if they hadn't been around, then certainly there would have been a lot of stuff hitting the fan, a lot more than it already had. Anyway.
No, thank you so much, Alex, and everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Rory. I will pop the link to cybershadows.com into the chat. Please do reach out to Rory. Really, really fabulous. Great guy. The whole company is really brilliant. I've just seen a comment which said from Damon saying great session, and Michael said really good. Thanks, Rory and Alex. Thank you, gentlemen, for commenting.
Thanks,
really
Michael.
Appreciate that. Please do watch this again. And Rory, thank you. Just a pleasure.
Cheers, Alex. Thanks so much.
Thank
See you
you.
again. Bye.
Bye.